So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Tesco losing a fire and rehire court battle, and so what companies like Tesco's have done during this pandemic is to fire people and then try to rehire them on lower wages, which is absolutely scummy. This is scum of the earth behaviour from Tesco's, honestly. Tesco's has said it's examining legal options after losing a court battle over contracts with some workers at its Livingston distribution centre. Retail trade union U Store, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, won a temporary interdict in the Court of Session on Friday over what the union called a fire and rehire policy. It means Tesco's cannot terminate workers there and re-engage them on new terms which do not retain their rate of pay, which is basically fire and rehire. And we've seen the airlines do similar things as well.Ustore has claimed some of the staff could lose between 4,000 and 19,000 a year. So you're talking about probably people who are just general warehouse, workers, and you're probably talking 19k, probably professional managerial class, or PMCs as the majority report calls them. So what you can see here is, a lot of money, they would have to, these workers were asked to take a significant cut in wages by Tesco's, which is scumbag behaviour. The judgment applies to the Livingston site only, although the union said it would continue to fight for the workers in the Lichfield, Daventry Clothing and Avonmouth Tesco distribution centres. So it's not 100% clear how widespread this practice is from Tesco's, but we can see that there are other areas in which they are doing it. Lichfield and Avonmouth distribution centres. So Tesco's have made a lot of money through this pandemic. It's absolute scumbag behaviour that they're going to tactics like this. U-Store National Officer Joanne McGuinness said, "We are very pleased to have secured this victory for our members who faced a huge cut in wages after Tesco moved to renege on a long-standing collective agreement made in good faith. It is a major victory in the fight against fire and rehire tactics, which are now being used by too many businesses, something the government should actually outlaw." To be honest, the court delivered a temporary prohibition, and we are now calling on the company to honour the judgment and withdraw its plans at all sites. We stand ready to seek a permanent interdict, I think that's what that word is, for Livingston, and a High Court injunction for other sites to defend this unfair pay cut for hundreds of key workers. What we can see here is the benefits of unionisation and collective bargaining, where Tesco's could have done this and the workers would have been in a very much tighter situation here, but because they're unionised, the union fought for them, and it shows you the importance of unionisation. We see that in Alabama, I think it is, with the Amazon workers, where they're still fighting for unionisation, which I hope they achieve as well, because it shows you how important unionisation is, especially in times of a pandemic where shops are, supermarkets are making money, but in their infinite greed, they've decided they want to make more money, so they're going to tactics like this. So surprised out of a decision. A Tesco spokesman said the company was surprised by the court's decision and was looking at how we can legally challenge this. So Tesco's are still going forward with this policy of fire and rehire. We will continue to engage with U-Store and the very small number of colleagues at our Livingston distribution centre who are affected by this. Well, if it's only a small number, why are you doing this? Because this court battle is going to cost you a lot of money, Tesco's. So I don't understand why you're going through this policy. The only thing I can think of is that they want to do it on these workers here, and then what they're going to do is they're going to start doing it en masse if the courts allow them to do this. That's the only reason why Tesco's have started here and are going to start pushing this policy wider on, especially when they're making money. Retained pay was offered a number of years ago as an incentive to retain colleagues. Today we have over 16,000 colleagues working in distribution, the vast majority of whom do not receive this top-up, so we have taken the decision to phase it out. So basically Tesco is saying that in order to retain these workers, they were offered more money, and now Tesco's are like, well, we're getting rid of this incentive, probably because Tesco's like, well, these people aren't really going to go anywhere, so why should we pay them more for their loyalty? That's what it seems like anyways. We made a fair offer to those colleagues affected, and many of our colleagues have chosen to accept this. This decision does not affect the voluntary process, but at the same time, it was so fair that the unions got involved, and you were taken to court over this. There wasn't a strike by the looks of things. The courts, you lost through the courts. That's even worse. If you lost because workers were striking, that's you having to concede because of the power of collective bargaining. But instead, what had happened was that the courts, through their ruling, their temporary ruling, by the looks of things, have stepped in and said, no, you can't do this. So, massive credit to U-Store, the unions, and all the workers involved who decided to take Tesco's to court over this. It's not cheap, and they've done a good job here. And hopefully, this will make more companies think about following through with this fire and rehire policy on lower wages. Because Tesco's like doing stuff like this is, boycott behaviour. This is how you get boycotted, and maybe I'll have to do that as well. Maybe we should do that for a while. Maybe I'll tweet the story at them or something, because this is scumbag behaviour from Tesco's. I haven't heard of other supermarkets that have done this, but if they have, put that in the comments below, and I'll get around to covering it at some point. But until then, what can we see from this? It's the simple fact that a lot of corporate, a lot of companies are scumbags. Even when they're making a lot of money through this pandemic, they're still looking at cost-cutting measures, despite the fact they don't have to. They're making money. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.